أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق وأعز المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى جميع أنبياء الله والمرسلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I want to share with you on the 10th night of Shahr Ramadan al-Mubarak few ayat from the chapter of resurrection. Al-ayah number, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, al-ayah number 18. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. In this verse number 18 of the chapter of resurrection, Surah Al-Hashr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making the call for the believers to fear Him and to be pious, to have piety, to be aware of their duty towards Him. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. And let every soul observe in advance what it did, what it had advanced to the day of the judgment ahead of time. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. And let every soul, let every person, let every responsible person observe, examine his work, his deed ahead of time, before he shall be examined on the day of judgment. And let every man watch what he has done before he will be called for reckoning on Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment. This is a clear indication and invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do what we call al-muraqaba, to watch over our deeds, over our work, over our behavior, over our achievements, and over our prosperous missions or the mistakes that we make. We need to observe that ahead of time. So it is called muraqaba. You watch over yourself, the way you behave and the way you talk. And then also after the observation process, there is what's so called muhasaba. Muhasaba, where you need to appoint yourself to be a judge for your deeds. And the best manifestation of such process, usually our a'imma and our ulama, they tell us that usually do it before you go to bed, before you go to sleep. When the man wakes up in the morning and start his day with Salatul Subh and Salatul Fajr, and go out to do his business and interact and talk and behave and go up and down and do his business as usual and face the challenges that he faces every single day, by the time the day ends and after Salatul Isha and after he eats and rests and when he is about to go to bed, it is highly recommended by this particular verse and by the tradition of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the tradition of our A'imma, the legacy of our A'imma, before you go to bed, you run and you observe your day. What have you done? Was it a good day? Was it a bad day? Good day, bad day, in terms of what have you done? Bad deeds, good deeds, have you made mistakes? Were you obedient to Allah? Did you follow as-salihat or you did at-talihat? Were you positive in your behavior? Were you negative? So you observe your day. You rewind the events before you go to bed. You rewind or you start from the beginning. You remember on the moment that you finish your salat, when you are about to go to work, you mention Allah's name. You seek His assistance in order to brighten your day. And then you did at-tasbih and at-tahleel and as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You are in connection with Allah. Then when you observe that you have done these good deeds, before you go to bed, then you thank Allah. إذا أحسنوا استبشروا وحمدوا. يعني you thank Allah for this good deed. And then you go into the process, examining process after process, event after event. And you stand at every event where you think you have made a mistake. For example, you lost your temper unjustly towards someone who have not done anything bad to you. Then you observe that moment and you seek forgiveness from Allah and you say, Astaghfirullah, I've made a mistake. And you send a message to the person who you have made the mistake with to rectify the situation and to acknowledge the fact that you have made a mistake with him, and you make sure that he responds back with a sense of forgiving and with a sense of clemency, and then you perform al-istighfar, you seeking forgiveness. So in that sense, Al-Ayah is asking us to observe and to put ourselves into accountability of what we do day by day. And try to, I know this process, if every single man and woman in the world, they do that, whether they are believers or not, if they do that, then I'm sure, 100% sure, the world would be a much better place. And the nations would be a better nation. And the communications between states would be much more effective. And this cooperation, when people start by examining their behavior and they correct the mistakes that they make, and they make the intention not to make it again, and they build on the good things that they have done, that would lead to a self-consciousness, and that would lead to a good connection with Allah, and that would lead to self-respect, and that would lead to elevate self-worth and the value of your character, and then you would have confidence, and then you would walk on the right track, and you would walk clearly on earth with light, knowing and distinguishing between what's right and what's wrong, what's true and what's false. So, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu taqullah. In the process of examining your day and observing what you have done and subjecting yourself to those two processes, muraqaba, watching over yourself, muhasaba, judging yourself ahead of time, that process by itself, according to Allah, it's an act of taqwa. It's an act of piety. And if we train ourselves every single day to do so, for the rest of our lives, when we go make the transition and we go into the journey from life to death to another life, then we have made a lot, and we have made a lot of achievement, and then we would save a lot of time, and we would save a lot of headaches, and we would save a lot of hassle. Why? We won't be surprised Yawm al-Qiyamah for a record that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will produce to us and we have no knowledge of, because we forgot about it, because you never examined yourself, you never looked back at your action. And that also applies on the individual, applies on the father and the mother and the son and the daughter, the brother, the sister, and applies on the scholar, and applies on the worshipper, and applies on the employer and employee, and applies on the managers and the follower and the people who are being followed and people who are leading and the leaders. Each one of you is responsible. Each one of you has a sense of responsibility, and each one of you is accountable for the circumference of his responsibility. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. So in that sense, that particular piety, it would extend itself also to leaders, community leaders, city leaders, state leaders, leaders of nations, worldly leaders, international leaders. Why? You observe what I have done, what decision I made. Was it good? Was it bad? would God be pleased with with what I have done? Is it suitable with my own principle? Was I sincere? Did I take into account the general interest of others? Or was my decision totally greedy, subjected to greed and selfishness and stinginess and what so have you? This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us, and Allah, when He teaches, He's the best teacher. In Al-Hashr, in the resurrection, chapter of resurrection, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullah, command from Allah to fear Him and to be pious and to have piety in the way we treat ourselves and in the way we deal with our behavior and with evaluating our work. We should be responsible. We should observe. If we have done a good job, we say Alhamdulillah, thank God. And if we have done a terrible job, then we try our best to improve and to fix it and to reform it and to change it to make it better. And if we have done so, then we look into the tools and the steps that we need to take in order to improve it, because the process of life by itself, from the moment we are born until the moment we depart this world, we are in a process of seeking our own perfection. Our own perfection lies in successful and winning and important and immortal life in heaven with the pleasure of Allah above us and with the mercy of Allah above us. That is the ultimate goal for the believer, and that is the ultimate goal for the Muslim, and that is the ultimate goal for al-mu'min. And in this context, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He is reminding us to be aware of Him and to be mindful to His obligation and to perform piety towards Him and to examine ourselves and to make ourselves accountable today, at night, before we go to bed, every day, in order to know what we have done, was it good or bad. In that process, Allah regarded it as an act of piety. And then also He said to us, do that in Allah. And it's ironic that in the same ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resort to use the same expression twice. Ittaqullah, fear Allah and be pious to Him, and let every soul examine what they have set forth before the day of the judgment. What did they in advance do? Examine what they have done, observe, test yourself. And then He says, wattaqullah again. Another process of taqwa. Inna Allaha khabirun bima ta'malun. Apparently, after making the observation and after making the accountability for our amal, then there is another degree of piety by, after analyzing what we call muraqabah, we need to do muhasabah and we need to improve. When there is a room for improvement, we do improve. And when we make a mistake, we try to change it and correct it and reform ourselves in order to excel in every form of ibadah or every form of action or every form of moral behavior, because Allah loves those who excel in their work, and Allah loves those who pay to charitable contribution generously also. That He calls it a source of excellence and a source of ihsan. And then Allah, inna Allaha khabirun bima ta'malun. Allah is all knowing in what you do. He has full knowledge, inside out, of what our intentions are. Any image that comes to our mind, Allah knows about it. He knows about it before it happens. Yes, inshallah, one day we'll talk about this, because some people, it is a little bit hard for them to grasp this expression, but inshallah, with clear introduction, inshallah, and step by step, we'll come to examine it. وَلَا تَكُونُوا, ayah after that, the ayah after that, number 19, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهِ. So in the first ayah, Allah is telling us, fear me, observe what you have done, think about what you have done, and be the judge of your deeds before they go to Yawm al-Qiyamah, to the day of the resurrection. That by itself is to remember Allah and to seek His forgiveness and to seek His assistance and to know that without God, you are pure non-existence. Without God, we are nothing. Without God, we are nothing, because everything in us and everything about us and everything around us and in this whole spectrum and this whole universe that we live in, this cosmos on the macroscopic level and this little cell on the microscopic level, without God is nothing. It's equal to zero in existence, non-existence. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us always relate to Him, always connect with Him, always remember Him. And وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهِ. Do not be similar and equal to those who forgot about Allah. They forgot about their Lord. As a result of them forgetting about their Lord, فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Allah in return will make them unaware of themselves and unaware of their actions and unaware of what they are doing. And Allah would make them forgetful about their own self. They would live worse than animals. Eat, drink, sleep, no sense of purpose, no pondering, no reflecting, no wisdom. They eat, drink, satisfy their pleasure like animals, even worse than animals. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, do not be like those people who forgot about Allah. As a result of them forgetting about Him, they forgot about themselves. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. These are particularly those who go through this process. They are the sinners. And they are the sinners clearly, openly. Al-Fasiqun. And we said before in another discussion, Al-Fasiq in the Quranic term is the person who commits the sinful act openly without any shame, and he loses his holiness and he loses his respect with his own hand. In ayah number 20 following ayah number 19, لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. Allah's goal and aim is to make us prosper and to make us win at the end by going into Al-Jannah and experience His rida, for Him to be pleased with us, and love relationship between us and Allah, and you live forever in Al-Jannah. Allah wants you to succeed. Allah wants you to make it. Allah is facilitating everything to call you. He is calling you. He sent you a holy book of Al-Quran, miracle of Islam, the book. He sent to us prophets and He sent revelation. And He gave us a small little prophet, our mind, and He created in us a power of consciousness in order to make us act and then drive us and inspiring us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind all of these forces, because He wants you to make it. He is pushing you to make it. He is calling you to make it. He is as if that He is pleading His case to attract you, to bring you. But all what you have to do is make the effort. Otherwise, no one else will be able to change you unless you are willing to change yourself. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change the condition of anyone to the better until they initiate the change themselves by an inner intention, at least. Inner, sincere intention. Once Allah observes in you the intention for you to change, oh, things will be wonderful. All the doors in front of you will go. All the obstacles will disappear. All the challenges will be easy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased, and He loves for you to make it. And He loves for you to make the first step. And He wants you to make the first step. That is part of the process. Allah is telling us, لا يستوي أصحاب الجنة. The inhabitants of hell are not similar or equal to the inhabitants of heaven. Inhabitants of heavens are the winners. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. Okay, the people associated with Al-Jannah, who made it to Al-Jannah, they are the winners. They are the actual winners. They are the real winners. And that is the ultimate prize that each and every one of us should work for it. Versus a terrible situation. قُلْ هَلْ أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرَيْنِ أَعْمَالًا. Shall I tell you about the worst losers? الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا. They were misguided and they went way in the way of, they became astray, they lost it, they lost the goal, they lost the aim. The more they walk, the further they go away from their objective, and they think they are doing well, and they think they are on the right track, because they have never examined themselves to these two processes: muraqaba wa muhasaba, observation and accountability. Observation and accountability. Control and accountability. Accountability, that's what we need to do over ourselves every night or every week, preferably every night and every day, in order to improve ourselves and purify our character, and then repair our character to match the character of the Quran, the Quranic character. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue in this surah, in Surah Al-Hashr, to speak about the importance of Al-Quran and the value of the book of Al-Quran and the effects of the Al-Ayat on Al-Quran. And he set an example, the relationship of Al-Quran to the mountain. If Al-Quran was revealed on the mountain, what would happen? Inshallah, we'll continue this discussion with you tomorrow night, tomorrow evening at 7:30. And we will meet you tonight, inshallah, at 9:20 for Dua al-Iftitah. Thank you so much, my dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your siyam and accept your a'mal and accept your salat. And please don't forget me from your dua. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى بحق محمد وآل محمد أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد أن يكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة, to expedite the appearance of our Imam al-Mahdi. سلام الله عليه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. 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 اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.